What's going on, guys? We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 285 at the Golden One Center in Sacramento, California. We have Anthony Fluffy Hernandez going up against Gregory RoboCop Rodrigues. Starting off with Hernandez, he's a high-volume wrestler and grappler, fundamental wrestling instead of using the fence. BJJ black belt, so good advantage on the ground. It's good cardio, and he's willing to take damage to maintain the pace. Now that aspect of his arsenal is going to be interesting leading into Rodrigues, who likes to add the pressure, has high finishing power early on, big middleweight, also has a BJJ black belt, makes his opponent work for the takedown. He's going to be dangerous early on. So if this fight is 1 or 2 rounds, advantage Rodrigues. Late rounds, advantage Hernandez. Now, like I said, he's willing to take damage. Hernandez is to maintain the pace, but against somebody that has power, that could end early. This is a really hard one to call. If you could stay on the feet, I would say advantage Rodrigues, but not one I would really want to call. This is a tough one if you're a gambling person. So that's really your call. It's really a preference of styles. Next up, we got Sergey Spivak and Vitor Petrino. Spivak has a reliance on fundamental technique, has a strong takedown game with a very good ground and pound. He does lack the one-shot knockout power, so he's going to rely on his jab and a striking volume. Struggles with grappling and holding his opponent down. And with going against Vitor Petrino, that could be a problem because he has an ability to get back on his feet. He's a very athletic and powerful heavyweight. Dangerous striker with a strong left hook. Has a questionable takedown defense. Fight IQ might not be all there. So if he can manage not to step on his own feet, probably has the advantage, but he tends to do that. But if he uses his athletic and physical tools, he can exploit the weaknesses of Spivak. It has the advantage here. So it's going to be really a matter of him not stepping on his own feet really and causing himself to lose, to be honest. All right, next up we got RDR and Roman Dolidze. RDR is a tall fighter who's going to use his height to control the range. He's a grappler, got good takedown ability, also uses length on the ground. Now, he does kind of forego some technique and fundamentals when he's throwing punches. He's going to be throwing them with the intent of really hurting you. However, where he's at a disadvantage of is he fights at his opponent's level. So if he's better than his opponent, he's fighting down. Now he's going to be going up against a world-class grappler in Dolidze, who does have good power, but he's searching for the one-shot knockout too much, in my opinion. There's no plan B if that doesn't work. That's all well and good if it lands, but you got to have a plan B. He tends to not. He has a ground advantage being a world-class grappler, but he tends not to use it. Just has that tunnel vision, looking for the big KO. So, I mean, if he can, actually use where he's an advantage, I think he has an advantage in this fight, but will he? He tends not to, so going to be a tough one to call. I might lean to RDR just based off of history, and Dolidze not using his ground advantage. All right, next up we got Markel Medeiros and Mason Jones. In my opinion, what's going to be the fight of the night. Medeiros is a very technical striker, good boxer, fluid, has speed, explosiveness, just knows how to move his hands, has a high fight IQ, good movement, knows how to reset when he's in a bad position. He's going to be going up against Mason Jones, who's very aggressive. He'll look to turn the fight into a brawl. He does have good takedown defense if the fight goes to the ground. He does get stronger as the fight goes on. So later into the fight, Jones probably has the advantage here. But yeah, this is going to be a lot of style versus substance. This is like an explosive action movie versus a more technical, smooth storytelling. And really, what you prefer here, and who's gonna dictate the pace. And if Jones can get this into a fight, into a brawl, clear advantage. But he could frustrate. Medeiros could frustrate Jones a lot by staying away from him and just kind of picking him apart and being very technical. So it should be a very fun fight, and one I'm looking forward to. All right, next up we got Carly Judice and Jesla Chavez. This is going to be like almost a reputation fight, and what's going to come down to. Judice is a highly touted prospect. May have got thrown into the UFC too soon. She's improved with every fight though. Has a clear speed advantage, good combinations, volume fighter, works opponents full body. So looks to be the favorite here. She's going up against Jesla Chavez, who is a good grappler, has poor fight IQ based off the first fight. Was it first fight jitters? She looked like she was, lacking finishing technique. She looked a little bit lost. But if that was, first fight nervousness, and she comes out and wins this fight, that's going to look really bad for Judice. Chavez knows this, but she also has it in her head. If she loses this, come out of the Contender Series, she's probably going to be 86th. So should be an interesting one, being all the mental aspects of this and what could happen with my career type thing. So it should be a good one. All right, so to end our night, I do have some somber news. Anthony Wynn was moved to the main card against Terrence Chapman. And unfortunately, my apologies, I have not watched any fights from the Rootin' Tootin' Fight League. So we're going to be going to Shamil Gaziev and Kennedy Njoku. It's got to be a sad night for them. Fighting all these years and you're getting bumped for a practice squad NFL player who has a win in the Contender Series. Is that not a little bit depressing? But I digress. Gaziev, he's a wrestler. Does favor striking, has a lot of knockout power. Cardio could be a little bit of a problem. He has gotten knocked out in his last two fights. He's going to be going up against Njoku, who is long and powerful. And getting knocked out in the last two fights, you got to be a little bit worried. Has a solid takedown defense. Njoku could take shots, but doesn't use his length. And both of these, a lot of hesitation. So we could be watching a fight where two guys are just dancing with each other, touching up gloves, when they could be in there having an actual fight. This could be a frustrating one, or this could be an entertaining fight, depending if, these guys use their abilities. And I found that with a lot of these fights that we're looking at tonight is just guys just not, fighters just not using the ability they have and making it entertaining and just making it easier on themselves. But again, I do feel bad for them nonetheless, as veterans in the game getting bumped for Anthony Wynn and Terrence Chapman. But it should be a fun night nonetheless. I hope you guys take care, enjoy the fights, be safe, have a good weekend.